So, Lola, tell us about your mother, one of the Macks.
My mother was Beulah Annie Holmes, and she had 12 children. One died as an early teenager, and 11 she raised. 11 she raised, but my sister Nita went to my aunt in Pittsburgh because my aunt used to have pass-out spells, and they didn't want her to be at home in the daytime. And so Nita went up there to stay with her, and she raised Nita. Nita was about 10 years old.
Is that Aunt Carrie?
Aunt Carrie.
And Aunt Carrie is the baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mother had 3 sisters, but the youngest died when she was a baby. She crawled into the fire and picked up a hot coal and put it in her mouth.
Ooh.
And they didn't have, like we have emergencies and able to do things like that. So that was her problem.
What type of person was Grandmama?
Mama was bossy and friendly and whatever. She'll do everything she can to help you. And then she liked to correct you. And but she did it in a godly way, because she would just let you know that that's not right. But she was a good mother, because she raised us. And Jim, of all the 11 children, 6 boys, 5 girls, Jim spent the night in jail once because he was standing on the corner. He had a nickel in his pocket. He was about to go to bed, but he discovered he had the nickel, so he went to the store. And then black people couldn't stand on the corner, and he was just a boy, but they took him to jail. And when Daddy went down and talked with the judge, the policeman didn't even know the name of the street that he picked him up on. And he said he picked him up right in his door, because it was right across the street from the house. Mm-hmm.
And which house was this, 333 Ashley Avenue?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Lola, I hear a lot of Grandmama in you. Mm-hmm. So you talk about helping a lot of people and doing things for them that they couldn't do themselves, helping people to read and write.
Yeah.
Is that a Mack trait? Is that something that we did?
I imagine it is. Grandpapa taught school. He taught people how to read when he moved to Berkeley County.
And Grandpapa is that DJ Mack?
DJ Mack. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
That's DJ Mack, who didn't know he was a black man.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you want to tell us that story one more time, how he did not know he was a black man?
He was a black man because his father, who was a slaveholder, went to bed with her, and with his mother, and she had Hattie G, and she had a baby, and that was Grandpapa. Mm-hmm. And
Miss Charlotte.
Miss Charlotte. Mm-hmm. That was Charlotte is Grandpapa's mother.
Okay.
And Miss Mary is Miss Mary Bird.
Okay.
And see, he was a bird, and he went in the name of Bird. But once his his adopted mother, Miss Mary brother, told him that he was black, he got another name, and that's how he picked up the name Mack.
Okay.
And we've been trying to find out where the Mack came from, but we don't know. But anyhow, he was a Mack.
So we are originally
birds.
Genealogically birds.
Birds, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. And as far as Artie says that we got somebody from England as well as somebody from Africa in our blood.
Yes, you did the DNA test.
Yeah, I did the DNA.
You and Uncle Bobby, correct?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, and Artie shared those results with us one time before. I don't remember what it said. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you can tell as a matriarch of our family, you can tell the rest of us, one thing that we should always remember as Macks, things we should be proud of and how we should carry ourselves.
Well, we should be proud because we're a Mack. Grandpapa taught at seminaries, Common Theological Seminary. Uncle Willie taught at Common Theological Seminary. Uncle Willie was on the board of trustees to the Tuberculosis Association of Charleston, and he served on that, I guess, about 40 years. And he was very proud of that, and he was a very good community worker, and he pastored St. Luke Church for over 40 years. Over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And
what about your mama and daddy?
Daddy was a undertaker. He was a white-collar man. A white-collar man, they don't do nothing but put a white shirt. Beulah Holmes was a nurse and a bossy soul, a mama. Well, she raised 12 children. She taught the boys as well as the girls how to cook and how to wash clothes, wash and take care of themselves, clean houses. If you were a boy, that didn't mean that you didn't have to learn, because she said that you might get a wife who got sick or a wife who would laugh at you and you wouldn't know what to do. So then they did. And, well, Skipper washes his clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And I taught him to wash his clothes, and he's been washing his clothes ever since. And that's that's his thing. When he got married, Binky wanted to know, why you think I can't wash his clothes? I said, no, baby, they just learned to wash the clothes. Everybody had their day to wash their own clothes so we could learn how to wash. And every day had to learn how to cook. Of course, Skipper don't like to cook, but all of my brothers liked to cook. All of my brothers were cooks.
And he was raised right there with your brothers.
And he was raised with my brothers. Mm-hmm.
So he had to do what they had to do.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I need to say this. My husband was Harold Mikell, but he left me when Skipper was 6 years old, and we didn't see any more of him until he got sick, and then he contacted us, and then when he died, I buried him. I didn't bury him because he wanted to be cremated, and so we had him cremated. And we had a funeral for him at the chapel in Somerville.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And sound like we have a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs in our family.
Mm-hmm. Now, Billy was a chef, cook, and Billy cooked and Billy catered. Jim and Arthur were twins. They were sailors, and then they were sailors, and then they were ministers, and they all ministered.
And Uncle Arthur also worked for the IRS, correct? Okay, so Uncle Arthur also worked for the IRS, right?
Uncle Arthur worked after he came out of Jim and Arthur were in the Navy together. When they left the Navy, they came and they went to Common Theological Seminary to become ministers. But Arthur decided that he would, Arthur was dead, I don't know what, but someone said that he should to go back into service. Well, the Navy wouldn't take him back because he was disabled, but the Army did. And he served in the Army, I don't remember how many years in the Army, but he was in the Army.
2 wars.
Mm-hmm. 2 wars, yeah. They were in World War II.
And Korean.
And he was in the Korean War. And when they were boys, they were always, when they were young, they worked at ice cream parlor. And then they got older, they were waiters at a restaurant, because they didn't call that right, at a restaurant, Carolara.
Mm-hmm. And so all your brothers worked at the funeral home at some point in time in their life?
No, not really, because we didn't get a funeral home, and when we got a funeral home, Jim and Arthur were already married.
Okay.
Well, Billy was married a long time, too.
Mm-hmm.
And But Daddy used to embalm. He did trade embalming. And now sometimes they would go just to help him carry his grip. But they didn't. And but Sidney, Benny, Bobby, Sidney, and my son worked at the funeral parlor.
Mm-hmm. Uncle Sidney and Uncle Bobby also were in the service,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Sidney was in the service. Sidney was in the Army. Bobby was in the Navy. And they served, I don't remember the number of years.
Yes, ma'am.
They were both in there.
And almost all of your siblings can sing. Something
Yeah,
you and I
everybody
don't have
sang.
that.
Everybody can sing but me
And me.
and you, okay.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm not your sibling, though.
No, not me.
Well, thank you, Lala, for giving us some insight. Any last words you want us to tell?
Yeah, tell them to always stick together. Family be family always and love each other. And most of all, learn how to forgive and to love. Because everybody should love everybody and everybody should be forgiven. Because if you don't want to forgive, then you don't know the Lord's Prayer.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
don't need to recite it because he say, as you forgive others, then he'll forgive you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you don't need to pray for forgiveness if you can't forgive.
All right.
And to love.
And to love. Thank you.